1. For some context, I live in farm country, USA, and have for almost 10 years. I regularly have to go outside in the pitch black with just a flashlight to check on animals, weird noises, etc. I do not scare easily being outside at night, because my attention and calmness is essential for keeping my animals and myself safe. I have neighbors, but they are driving distance away, or you would definitely see them coming if they walked. No one would sneak up on someone at night out here for obvious reasons. So, this is what happened. I was outside on Halloween night around 10:30 p.m. I was outside with my dog checking animals and letting her potty before bed. We were about 6 yards from my house, and I hear a hoot, hoot, hoot. Instantly, it was covered in goosebumps, and the hair on my arms stood up. It sounded like a human hooting like an owl. It did not have the reverb or natural range of a normal owl. I stopped walking and looked around thinking it's Halloween and it's probably my husband messing with me. I don't see anything outside. I look at my phone and it doesn't show that a door or window was opened for my husband to be making that noise. I was on guard but keep walking with my dog. Then I hear hoot, hoot, hoot. Again. I look around with my flashlight looking for eyes or a person or something. Nothing. It was pretty bright outside from the moon, so I should have been able to see an owl. Especially because we don't have trees, we have a few structures where an owl could perch, but it would have to be perched on top of one of these structures. I'm more anxious now and turn to start heading back to the house. My dog and I get about halfway to the house and I hear hoot, hoot, hoot again. For whatever reason, I go into full panic and hurry inside. I lock the doors and go into my room to ask my husband if he was messing with me, but he is dead asleep, already snoring. I checked all of the cameras around our property and don't see anything, but I spent the rest of the night on edge thinking someone was going to break in. I wouldn't think anything of this except my body went into full alert when I first heard the hoots. We have a few packs of coyotes that live around us, and I'm very often outside when they start howling at each other. I'm also a long-distance runner and run these country roads every day, miles from anyone, and run into all sorts of animals. I do not panic or react the way I did from the sound of an owl. That's what makes me think this might be a paranormal experience of some sort. Has anyone ever heard of something like this? 2. This happened at some point last night. It was our 2-year wedding anniversary, so we went out to a Halloween party down the street and did some celebrating. We got home pretty tipsy around midnight, and didn't stay up for too long before going to sleep. When I woke up this morning, the first thing I noticed when walking to the bathroom is our wedding photo we have in our living room was on the carpet instead of the shelf near the doorway to the bedroom. I was confused by this, but thought my wife maybe did this for some reason, but I had no idea why. Once I got back to the bedroom, I asked my wife why she put the picture on the floor. Well, I was shocked when she said she didn't put it there, and was wondering why I put the picture there. I obviously know I didn't either. Nobody else lives with us, we just have a dog. I'm pretty sure the dog didn't move the picture. I've tried coming up with a logical explanation, but there isn't one. We've slept in the same room for 15 years. We definitely aren't sleepwalkers. Even with a slim chance one of us did, why the heck would we randomly move the wedding picture to the floor? Aside from that, after recreating the occurrence, I realized how hard it is to balance the frame and make it stand on the plush carpet. There is absolutely no way the picture could have fallen off the shelf, let alone land standing up perfectly. I am completely baffled by this occurrence and am at a loss how it happened. Sadly, we do have a camera, but we only use it when we leave, so there is no video. We've been in our house for a couple of years, and have never had anything happen like this. What makes it more creepy is that it was our wedding picture and our anniversary. I will say also that we had a couple of captures on our camera when we were out last night, and had caught some orbs, which I have never seen in any of the videos previously in the last couple of years. The whole occurrence is so strange. The picture sits on the second shelf of the lamp shelf unit, about a foot or so off the ground, and it was about 3 feet away from where it has always been placed. 3. I still can't wrap my head around what I saw and felt and heard in my head. If there's any way to debunk this, please let me know. I live in a rural area in Florida. This happened a few weeks ago. I was driving by myself around midnight, and I came to a stoplight, where there's a cemetery on the right and new apartment buildings on the left. This particular light is extremely long, since it's not activated by sensors when you pull up to the light. So I'm waiting for a few minutes, and all of a sudden I instinctively look behind me. It felt like someone was watching me intently. About 30 feet away from where I was waiting for the light is a bus stop behind me. Right in front of the benches where you wait for the bus, I see a huge figure that looks like a wolf or a giant dog. I'm staring at it, thinking to myself, wow, that's an enormous dog. All the while I start to feel goosebumps. I feel my heart start racing and I can't figure out why. I start to feel evil thoughts in my head. I say feel because I couldn't make out what words were being said. I just remember that while I was staring at this dog, I felt like it was mocking me, laughing, and challenging me. Then I see the figure stand up on 2 legs while staring in my direction. It stood up and was suddenly taller than the top of the bus overhang. But it didn't look like a human. It looked like an animal just started standing on 2 legs. Meanwhile, I'm still waiting for the damn light to turn green. And keep in mind, there's lights all around the bus stop, but this figure was pure black. So the figure was stood up on 2 legs, and now it looked like a huge dog with an alpaca neck and body. But the neck looked really girthy. I see this thing continue to stare in my direction, and I think to myself, okay, this is really weird, but even if it's my imagination, it's going to disappear when I start driving. The whole time I'm feeling panicked, and I hear in my head, "Run, but I can chase you." I peel out of the stoplight. It's still freaking red, but I do not care at that point, and drive away as quick as I can. And then I look behind me as I'm driving, and the freaking figure is sprinting at full speed on all 4s behind me. It looked like a deranged wolf was chasing me. I felt pure panic as I was speeding away, and maybe out of instinct I yelled, "I have God with me. You can't hurt me. Nothing can hurt me. I am protected by my angels and by God." I'm paraphrasing here. It was at that point I realized I was feeling like I was being choked because after I said that out loud, I felt like I could breathe. I didn't feel like I was being chased anymore, and when I looked back, the thing was gone. Am I literally insane in the membrane? I do believe in the paranormal, and I do believe in skinwalkers, but honestly, I hope it was just my imagination because this happened 2 minutes from my house. Please let me know what you think, and thank you if you listen to everything. 4. This is the story of the scariest moment of my life. It's been a few months since I experienced this sighting, but I'm still terrified to go out at night due to seeing what I saw. About 3 months ago, I had moved into an 11-acre property in rural Texas, specifically between Yorktown and Smiley. The entire plot of land was about 3 or 4 times the size of the lot we purchased, but nobody had purchased any of the other portions while we were there. The land was fresh, never had been built on before, and didn't even have an address. It was surrounded solely by oil pumps on neighboring properties. At night you could see the burn-off from them lighting part of the sky orange. Our house was a bare-bones tiny house. No walls, just wooden beams and a bare floor. No running water, no plumbing. We had to dig the electric ourselves from the pole all the way to the house. That's how new the property was. It was a miserable experience all around, but we're poor, and it was the only living situation we could find. I've never been a believer of the paranormal. I still don't believe in things like ghosts or demons. I'm an if I see it, I'll believe it person. After this experience, though, I'm definitely more open to these types of things. What I saw I'll just call the creature. Creative, I know. When I moved onto the property, there were weird anomalies in technology that started to happen. Phones would glitch out and stop working, the cameras would act strange, and parked cars that were turned off would suddenly chime, and the lights would turn on. I thought it was odd, but I never connected it to the property until my girlfriend mentioned the strange happenings later on after my sighting. One night soon after I moved there, I had to get something out of my car. I took my phone light and walked out, opened the car door, and started digging around in the glove box with my full focus on finding what I was looking for. I forgot exactly what it was that I was searching for. After looking for a little while and not finding it, I closed the door and shone my light back towards the house. There was a truck parked between me and the door to the house. As I shone my light towards the truck, I became instantly terrified. What I saw was a tall, between 7 and 8 feet humanoid creature with white, sort of sickly-looking skin. Its arms and legs looked longer than a human's. As I shone my light in that direction, it ran off. It had the ability to leap over the truck, landing in the bed momentarily before hopping over the other edge and disappearing beyond my sight. I distinctly remember how the truck shook when it nimbly jumped over it. The time it took to do that was about 4 or 5 seconds. I never got to see its face, and I'm glad I didn't, as I would probably have been more traumatized than I already am. I can only imagine what its face looked like. Would it have reflective eyes like an animal? I still wonder and fear. Instead of stepping in the car and locking the door, I quickly walked around the truck and into the house like an idiot. I was so terrified that when I stepped around the truck, it would be there waiting for me. Luckily, it wasn't. For the rest of the night, I was absolutely horrified, as well as the rest of the time that I lived there, which was only about a month. I would have thought, okay, maybe I just imagined it, but it was so clear to me. Even the fact that the truck shook was a detail that was too realistic to be my imagination. And I have one more thing. I wasn't the only one who saw it. My girlfriend saw it out of the window at one point, though not as clearly as I had seen it. She did some digging, and other people have seen a similar creature in the area. That makes it clear to me that what I saw was real. I still doubt it to some degree, because how could it be real? But I can't see any other way to explain it. I still wonder what would have happened to me if I hadn't turned around when I did. It seemed like it might have been stalking me or something. I can only imagine in terror what it might have done to me if I hadn't turned around and saw it. I'm honestly traumatized from this experience, as silly as that may seem. I feel embarrassed saying that, but it's true. I know sightings like this, to me, before I experienced it myself, would just make me think, these people are crazy. Or they're making it up for attention or fame and are faking. But now I'm more open-minded towards people's experiences. I don't want to be famous. I just want someone to know what I experienced that night. I want to know what it is that I might have seen. If anyone has an idea, please let me know what you think. I'm never moving to the countryside again, ever. I'd rather get stabbed by some homeless Austinite than live out there and die from that creature. 5. There's been a lot of weird things going on. It's a block of flats. I'm ground floor and have a flat to the left, right, and above. Above is emergency housing, so in the 10 years I have lived here, quite a few families have been and moved on. Some really strange things happen up there when it's empty, and once when people were living there, but I'll start with my flat first. A few years back, when my ex lived here, we were sat on the sofa, and behind us is like an open-plan kitchen. It's really small here, so the living room has a bit of an extension to it, with no door, that is the kitchen. She made us some tortilla wraps and put the sauce on the kitchen countertop after preparing our meal. We were sat eating it, and this bottle of sauce slid across the countertop, straight at my girlfriend at the time. It was horizontally flung if you were to grab the bottle and slide it across the countertop, so it kept flying off the edge. It had a fair bit of momentum and force behind it. Could have done some damage to her had it connected with her head. She kind of saw it in the corner of her eye and had the instinct to flinch, and she managed to dodge it. She doesn't live here now, but since then there's been a few similar things happening in that same place in the flat. Just things falling on the floor and randomly moving all of a sudden. Once I was playing on Xbox online, kinda chatting and playing, and something moved in the kitchen, which is a few feet from where I sit on the sofa. It made a noise, but also caught me off guard and made me jump a bit. I stopped what I was doing, and the dude I was playing with asked, "What's up?" And I casually said, it's just the poltergeist playing up. Then boom, tins tipped over inside the cupboard and toppled out onto the countertop. It could have been that they were eventually going to fall anyway, and my first thought isn't usually paranormal, but this creeped me out bad. Like what I said was acknowledged and then reacted on. The next bit I haven't told to anyone, because I feel stupid, but later on I turned everything off and sat facing the kitchen and said, "Whatever is happening, I want you to know you're welcome here, and we're all good, as long as stuff don't start flying at me." I introduced myself and so on. It's likely to be my mind, but I always feel like I'm being watched over my shoulder in that particular part of the kitchen. I try to avoid that particular area as much as I can. Now the flat upstairs. Noise travels through the walls and ceiling, and upstairs' main room floor is my main room ceiling, so even walking around up there makes a thud and is loud. It's a pain in my ash, to be honest. When it's been empty while the landlord finds new tenants, more than once there's been loud activity up there. I'd say doors slamming with force and what sounds like a really heavy table being dragged across a wooden floor, scratching and creaking bad. At first I thought if a window was open slightly, I know a draft of wind can slam doors and cupboards. And I was worried about there might be a cat or pet locked in accidentally, or someone was squatting. If I was squatting, though, I'd not be making big noise like that. There should be a post a few years back in my profile about it all. It's second floor, and not accessible from outside windows or from the adjacent flats. So I went up the steps, climbed over the balcony railing, and got a view through the kitchen window. Like mine, it's all open plan, so I could see the whole downstairs through to the window on the opposite side of the building. Empty, no furniture, no open windows, nothing in there. My ex-girlfriend was here at the time and also heard the noise. The doors would slam early hours of the morning up there, and the dragging noise was really creepy. A family moved in. A single lady with a young kid, I'd say under 5 years old. Lots of times I woke up to stomping, kids screaming, and mum going crazy at the kid. Used to piss me off. One night, I was up all night on the Xbox, and about 5 a.m., I can't remember exactly, but it was eerily o'clock, the whole flats were quiet and asleep, and I hear doors slamming hard all over up there, and the young kid screaming like disturbing fear screaming. Then the mom woke up and shouted at the child. She thought the kid was having a bad dream and banging doors to get her attention, and the banging would cause problems for her if neighbors complained. This went on for about a month when they moved. The slamming is like rage anger slamming. Then the way the kid would cry was concerning. There's a family up there now, and the parents drink and smoke and gossip out on the balcony, and I think their one kid is autistic. But I hear her talking and stamping around when she's alone. I always feel like someone is watching me in my flat, and I haven't mentioned the woods behind the property. Some strange stuff has occurred up there, and when I open my door to let my dog out, it's like something is looking back. Hey everybody, Hellraiser here, and thank you very much for listening to Paranormal Stories, episode 352. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do poke the like button. Thank you kindly. And if you'd like to get early access to the videos, you get those on Tuesday at the latest, usually a little bit before then, but Tuesday at the latest. Then you can get them by supporting me through my Patreon, which is linked in the description. You'll also find a link to the Hellfreezer merchandise store if you'd like to get yourself some Hellfreezer merchandise. And if you'd like to support the channel on a one-off basis, then you can click that little heart with the $sign on it below the video, and you'll find that in streams as well, and that'll let you make one-off donations of your choice. While you don't have to do this, I do very much appreciate it, and it helps keep my toes warm. Okay, let's see. Right, no other business today, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is: what is the spookiest candy you've ever come across? Mine, I can tell you quite easy. Mine is the Hofsicle. It's what it sounds like. It is a popsicle shaped like David Hasselhoff. It's a real thing, you can look it up. I actually quite like David Hasselhoff, enjoy him as an actor, he's quite a charming fella. But I don't want to eat him. Why don't you let me know what yours are in a comment below. Okay, with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.